Games. Board game questions is what I'm answering today. Board game questions I wanted to say. You can ask me anything, and then I'll answer it after I sing on a stream because that's how I roll. I'm hopefully not going to dig myself into a hole. I've been doing this so many times, but still sometimes I struggle to come up with some rhymes. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. It's 10 a.m. ish UK time. Time for Busy Beats and Board Game Bladder. And today is episode 942, where I'm going to be answering questions from the Twitter and then running a quick raffle. There's 8 people who entered the contest, and I will answer all the questions, and then I'll use a random number generator live on stream, and you'll be able to see that it's all totally legit. And someone will win a wee package of games, and I will DM them to let them know. For now, let me quickly talk about recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights. Recent highlights, playing games and other delights. Recent highlights. Okay, so I want to talk about yesterday. I spent a bit of time on the internet and playing a whole bunch of games on Board Game Arena, and I pondered as I started in the morning, what would be the best currency to have? I asked people on a WhatsApp group where it's a WhatsApp group for people who have been to the Friday daytime playtesting, and I asked, hey, what do you think? Do you think I should go with 1, 2, 2, 5, 7? Maybe I should go for 1, 2, 5, 6, 7? Maybe something else? And then someone suggested the Fibonacci sequence, which is 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. And so, and Doric was like, hey, that's an intuitive sequence. I wasn't convinced. And I said, 1, 1, 2, 5, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. Oh no, it's 1, 1, 2, 3, 5. That's a bit low. And Corrado suggested, hey, how about 1, 2, 3, 5, 8? I didn't believe that this was an intuitive sequence. I asked people on Twitter, and as always, people gave me amazing responses. And I was trying to prove a point. I said, hey, what's more intuitive? Is it 1, 2, 3, 5, 8? Or is it 1, 2, 3, 5, 10? Or is it something else, or does it make absolutely no difference? And good morning, Yoda. I hope you are generally well. Lots of love. Most people, 2/3 of the people said 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 is better because 10 is a more intuitive thing for humans. Someone said, oh, that seems weird. And I thought, you know what? You're right. Let's go 1, 2, 2, 5, 10. It's what the currency is in real life. You've got 1 penny, you've got 2 pennies, you've got 5 pence, and you've got 10 pence pieces. Same with notes normally. And people understand intuitively what will be available. I like that. I like that a lot. It does widen the gap, but it means that still everything is possible, but then the ones and the twos have this extra value. And you know that, okay, your change, even though it's worth less, it's only worth 1 or 2, it also gives you the flexibility, and that's really exciting. And I played it twice last night. With my new friends, Vicky and Momo. We had a lovely time. I finally won my own game twice. We had a fantastic time with it. Both of the games went very differently. I think this is it. This is ready for me to just do the art and get it out for UK Games Expo. So I'm super excited about that. We also played some other games. A game about counting cats, shapes, and colors that keeps getting trickier, as well as a game about quickly grabbing creatures that are totally different and counting your beetroots. And Yoda says, it hurts my brain when currency in a game doesn't reflect real life, like you get free value or 6 value. And that's the thing, like sometimes you don't realize until someone points it out to you and says, hey, this feels weird. And then you're like, oh my gosh, why did no one say this before? I mean, I had probably, I'm going to actually struggle to count, but I probably had about 30 people playtesting this game, and not a single one of them said to me, why doesn't this reflect real life value? Until I kind of intuited that myself from the 12358. Then I went, surely 12351 is more approachable. Then someone says, 3 seems odd. Yes, you're correct. Thank you, all the people on Twitter, and thank you, Yoda, for reminding me that there's so much that I just, yeah. And that's why, I do the first edition Bezzy bargain bags, because thankfully this thing I realized earlier, but maybe there's other things that I will only realize after, a year after. Nothing is perfect, nothing is forever. Anyway, brilliant thing. What's the little thing which is brilliant? You know what? I'm going to talk about intuition and piggybacking. Piggybacking, which is a concept that Mark Rosewater's talked about, is when you've got ideas, you've got information in your head, you've got some awareness that, okay, zombies are, well, now they can be fast. I mean, with 28 days later and that, but you assume, okay, if zombies bite you, then they infect. It's about spreading. So as soon as you say zombies, people have an understanding of how that works. There's going to be massive numbers. Similarly, if I say currency, people think, okay, it's 1, 2, 5, 10. And having that information piggybacking off the existing information that people get from other places, because it shouldn't just be about learning. If you can use information that people already know from elsewhere, that is a brilliant thing. Now, as always, I do encourage you to comment, ask questions, from like, follow. I do have 8 questions. Rather, I've got 8 people who asked questions. There might be slightly more than 8. I'm going to go through all of these. And if you've got any follow-up questions, then please do ask. And as always, I reply to all the respectful questions that I can. But without further ado, there we go. So yeah, so I recently passed 4,000 Twitter followers. Thank you very much, everyone, for following me. I really appreciate it. And what I said I would do is an Ask Me Anything. For anyone who asks me a question, I will enter you into a prize draw, and you might win a whole package of games. So firstly, and that's the contest, so you might get these free games and something else, I don't know. Soviet Youth asks, are you coming to the May event for Hereford Board Gamers? Yes, I am, as I just said. Now, if you want more details, I can say that the Hereford Board Gaming event is on May the 13th, 14th, and 15th. So it's exactly 3 weeks before UK Games Expo. I'm going to consider this like a dry run. I'm going to try and get all my games out and done for that date, so it can be like a pre-release. It won't be an official release. My games will be officially released at UK Games Expo, but I will definitely have a game about auctioning cubes after winning an auction to become the auctioneer. I'll take a bunch of prototypes. I'm really looking forward to joining Adam and Elaine again. Last year, they were lovely. I wasn't quite able to make it on the day that I'd hoped to make it, but I did make it for the Saturday and Sunday. So it was a lovely time, and it's fantastic people. It's not the biggest event, it's not the busiest event, but I really feel the love, I really feel the excitement, I really feel the camaraderie of everyone around. And for me, because because I'm able to justify the expense, I'm more than willing to spend the time to be there, and it's so much fun. So I'm looking forward to going again. And thank you very much, Soviet, you for the question. Now, Music Games .wikidot.com says, what kind of Ask Me Any questions do you actually like? Now, this is a difficult one to answer, because it's not like there's one specific question that I really want to hear. But I guess the kind of question that I want to hear is maybe a question that I'm not expecting, maybe something that gets me thinking about stuff in a different way, maybe a question that only I can answer. I mean, if there's a question that you're just like, oh, what's your favorite color to wear? Then that suggests that you don't even know me. And I definitely don't like that kind of question. But if you were to ask me, what's your what color do you wear the most when you aren't wearing red? Then, that's kind of a funny question. And I like the questions that show that you kind of know something about me. I absolutely adore the questions that are maybe something about my games or something that I made or something, specific in there. Like, hey, you did this. Why did you do this specific thing? Sometimes I won't be able to answer very well, but I'll try my best. Yeah, so something that is unique to me or something that gets me thinking about stuff in a new way. And thank you for asking about that. And for future ask me any things, I might try and have a theme to try and direct people a wee bit. Okay, so Chris likes games. CM Lowry, been on the show. Thanks for joining, Chris. If you could meet in person any monster, creature, character from any card or board game, yours included, which one would it be? And I have this picture up. So these are the cute comical creatures. Now, I think that these ones do look generally a little bit friendlier than the wee whimsical creatures. And going round, there's a lot that look quite charming. I mean, this one here, the pink, that kind of Stegosaurus-y thing, it looks super cute. It looks like it would be a really nice pet. This goofy thing with the eyes going in different directions just looks like it's having a good time. And yeah, this purple thing that's yawning looks like it would be chill. And of course, I'd love to meet this happy-go-lucky little green fellow here. But the one that I'd like to meet the most would be the purple one on the bottom right that's got 3 eyes, 3 tears, and I don't know what's going on. Like, is it sad? Is it like just overwhelmed by emotion? Is it actually happy by the wonder of life? That's what I like to think is going on its in mind. But I feel like this looks like a creature that it's got some happiness about it. It's got some joy, but we can have a chat and not everything has to be sugar coated. That's why I would definitely choose to meet this creature. Lucas asks, what are your top 3 or so small box games? Also, did you do the art in that first picture? So yes, all of this art was from me. So these are all my drawings. These are all my drawings and typography. And this is all my drawings and typography. I've done all the art for all my games so far. So top 3 small box games. I'm going to give a shout out to Skull. So first I'll do 3 that I didn't do anything with, then I'll do 3 that I did something with. So Skull, I think it's fantastic. I think it's one of those games that, wow, this is so simple. Just put down a flower or a skull, and at some point, bet on how many flowers you can flip over without flipping over a skull. You've got to intuit what have other people done. You've got the one method of communication with your betting number. There's a stronger element of push your luck. Do I trust everyone to not have put down a skull? Was I lowballing because I was trying to entice someone else to outbid me and then flip over my skull, or was it a double bluff? And there's so much emergent player dynamics. I love this one. Then we've got Hue by Chris Handy, which is a game of putting down cards. It's like a tiny thing, teeny tiny, the size of a stick of chewing gum, and then you're putting them down until eventually it's what's the biggest group of each of your colors. And you can also poison things, which is a nice little additional wrinkle, but it's all about, as on, what do I keep? What are going to be my final 3 colors that I score for? With 2 players, this is really lovely. I'm not so keen on big player counts. Conversely, going back to a bit of social deduction, I'm going to give a shout out to The Resistance, the first game that I feel really gave a good amount of information. It's all about, because I don't like traditional werewolf or mafia. I'm not the biggest fan of Werewolves of Miller's Hollow. I don't like the player elimination. But here, there's no player elimination. You're going on missions. And so if the mission passes, that's a reason to hopefully trust those people. And this is the first time that really actual information was brought into the social deduction in this way, and no one's ever eliminated. And then you go to the end, and then it's like, come on, have we got it right? Oh no, or oh yes. So good. The other thing that I'd like to give a shout out to is One Night Ultimate Werewolf, where because it's very quick, it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to play, you keep replaying it. And that's one thing I love about social deduction games, is learning how people lie. I mean, it's like Cackalack and poker. This is a stink bug. Then you get to flip it over and immediately know whether I was lying or not. You get that information. You get to see my face over and over the course of the game. Here, you get to analyze, okay, how do people react? You learn about the people. You learn about how they act, because it's not just one game. It's spend an hour playing this game over and over, and you get deeper and deeper into it. I'd like to also talk about 3 small box games that I did work on. Firstly, I want to give a shout out to Questable, designed by Kirsten Lunde. It's currently my favourite LDEC game. Now, of course, there's lots of other LDEC games. I mean, Wibble, which I created, and Couple, which I created, and Categorical, which Tom Cauldron created, are also some of my favourites. But Questable currently, just working together, cooperating is super lovely. The fact that you can play it 1 player or 2 players or 3 or 4. The fact that you've got all these different levels, that it keeps changing. You can start off on easy or normal or tricky, or, well, you could start on fiendish. No one's actually gone that far yet. But for some people, tricky might be the correct. And it's going to, and it's got like all these difficulty settings that work really well for your group. Questable, I'm really excited to share that with the world. Kitty Cataclysm, it's chaotic, it's fast-paced, and even though it's got enough strategy that I will win more often than not, but like, it's got so much luck and chaos, and everyone feels like they're in it. And finally, a game about setting scenarios that people would do for different lengths of time. So, for example, you could say, to avoid death, how long would you play a game of grenade football with a replica of a family member who is a figment of your imagination whilst your parents stare at you? And yeah, I'm going to say, and the options are never know, seconds or minutes, hours or days, weeks or a few months, years and years, or always forever. I would do it for a couple of hours. I mean, hopefully I might not die, but like, if I'm doing it for days, it feels like, at that point, then I'm probably going to die from that anyway, and I don't really want to be playing grenade football for days. So I'm going to go, more than minutes, maybe a couple of hours to avoid death. And then you learn about what other people would do in these different scenarios. Like, how long would you take total responsibility for a slightly disgruntled wizard? And you get Robot's arm, and it's all live streamed. I mean, if it was for the fun of it, I would actually still do that for hours or days. Yeah, getting a robot's arm, it feels quite fun. But how do other people feel about that? And everyone's trying to suss out what each other would guess, except for one person who's the sower of chaos and trying to confuse everyone. I made this game basically on a joke, and the more I play it, the more I fall in love with it, which is a good sign. So yeah, that's the things that I would most like to, that's my top few small games. Now, next question is, you seem to have a penchant for small and social fun games. Has there ever been the draw of attempting to create a bigger game, so to speak? And for what reasons, yes or no? Now, I have already made what I consider bigger games. Seize the Power, which is a game that was actually signed up by Inside the Box, is a 90-minute game. during testing, it was typically 90 minutes to 2 hours, but it has been, we did manage to get it down to typically 60 minutes, which I was very proud of. But that's a deep game about negotiation and unfair rules and bigotry and discrimination. Like, that's a deep game. Even Couple, frankly, isn't a social fun game. It's a game, it's a fairly involved cooperative game where you've really got to analyze what's going on and analyze the numbers. And yeah, I've also been working on a game. I've been working on an abstract game where you make smaller shapes to get special powers to help you make bigger shapes to get better powers to eventually make the biggest shape to win. And that's like completely abstract, perfect information. I mean, it's been enjoyed a bunch of times, but it's maybe difficult to get those kinds of games out there to be really, yeah, enjoyed by people. And what else? We also have a game that I've been working on about, it's a dungeon combat game with bag building, a bit of putting tiles together, action programming, and it does have a short real-time bit where it's like, okay, everyone, grab the bits, okay, stop, and then you take a bit of time to execute, and it's like, okay, I've got this spell that pushes you away, and then you go into those spikes, ha ha ha, yeah, and so yes, I've done these games. I've also done LARPs. I've also done, like, I was commissioned along with Sarah Jury, who invited me to join her to make a game for 80 people for King's College London. I love making games of all sorts. And so whilst I might be best known for Yogi, that's definitely not the only thing I've made. And as I just said, I love games of all sorts. So I'm interested in making games of all sorts. And I would like to keep making games. But at the same time, I don't want to make, a Agricola as much as I love Agricola, because Agricola already exists. So if I'm making a big box game, I want to make something that's slightly different. And that's a key thing in what I'm doing. I want my things to be slightly different. I hope that makes sense. But thank you for asking the question, MJ Anscher. So Adam Stichter asks, is there anything you wish you had added to or changed in the LDEC? So it used to be called Wibble++, and then it went to W++. But is there anything that I wish was slightly different in the LDEC? So honestly, when was it released? 2017? I guess we've already had the 5-year anniversary a couple of years ago. Just last year. At some point, maybe 2027. So for the 10-year anniversary, I will really re-examine it, and I will change anything I want. I've always said, if I feel that I can make it definitely better, I would improve it, because I don't want it to just be staying the same because of inertia. I don't like the idea of things being kept the same just because, hey, that's how it's been. I mean, when you've got second editions of games, that's a chance to improve it. If you've got graphics, even if it makes it incompatible to a expansion that's out there, I think that improving the game, if this makes it better, is always the right way to go. That's my personal opinion. That, let's not be beholden to the past. So things that I've been thinking about changing are spreading out the vowels slightly more. I don't like the fact that you goes with N, I, and O. So if you don't know the LDEC, then here's a picture of it again. There we go. So, there we go. There's two of the U's. And if those two U's, because there's only 3 U's in the deck, if those 2 U's were with consonants rather than vowels, then there would be more vowels in the deck, and so it would be slightly easier to play some of the games. Also, I've been thinking that maybe there should be 4 U's, but I'm still not sure what should be demoted to go from having 4 to having only 3. I, yeah, do think that SG is too good a card in certain games, but maybe that's okay. But I would be inclined to split up the S and the G. Um, just because in drafting games where you're making words, then you've got in the English language ing, and you've also got S to pluralize stuff. So that's such a good card. Anyway, there are wee things with the letter distribution that I would like to tweak. Otherwise, I'm very happy with it, and all the graphical stuff I can keep working on. I'm honestly, there's not that I would be happy with this for a long time to come. The biggest thing that I'd like to change and like to work on is the stuff surrounding it, because in some years' time, I want there to be the potential to go into a shop and say, do you have that deck of cards with 2 letters on each card? For the shopkeeper to say, oh yes, here's our display. And then you've got like an Art Deco style, you've got this traditional style, you've got like a graffiti style, you've got one that's like more storybook, you've got the nature style, which would be couple, and you've got all the different versions. And that would be nice. And then in each box, it's like a nice box, and like the marketing around it. And within each box, it just gives you the instructions for one game, but you can still play all the games. I want there to be books around the L deck. I want there to be a really nice website, not just a Google Drive, but a really nice website where you say, okay, this is my player count. This is my time that I have. Okay, I want a competitive game. I want it to be slightly frantic. I want it to be somewhat wordy, and then it gives you straight away all the options, because there's so many options of games to play, and part of the work is guiding people towards those games. Which of your drawn creatures from any of your games looks identical to its mirrored version? I will say none of them. None of them are symmetrical along that axis, but I'm going to say if any's the closest, probably this one in the middle. I mean, it's not identical, but if you flipped it, I probably wouldn't notice. Whereas there's a lot of other things, like the circular thing, they've always got a little plant on the left side. The poopy faces are normally looking to the right. But yeah, I would say that this is probably the most symmetrical in that manner. Thank you, Cheap Sheep Games from New Zealand. And finally, Cake of Doom has 3 questions which I will answer. Firstly, if you can't wear red anymore for some reason, what color would it be instead? So I thought about this for a long time. Someone suggested green, but no, I wouldn't go with that. I would go with hot pink, magenta. And I know that for a lot of people, this might be a harder color to get. I might do more in terms of uniforms and be like, yeah, if you don't have a thing, hey, here's literally a pillowcase with holes cut out. But yeah, once you've joined me for a bit, I can send you some dye to sort out your own fabrics. But hot pink, that's a color that's attention grabbing, no one else uses, and I think people would notice if an entire outfit was in hot pink. It would be a bit more hard to source, but hot pink, magenta. Your friend is visiting at the end of this future, like now it's present stream. They're bringing a magical surprise cake. That's exactly what you want right now. Okay, I want a cake that's multi-layer. One time, I saw a birthday cake, which was basically 3 cakes in a pile. It would be relatively small, but the question is, how the size of the cake depends on whether I'm sharing it or not. I'd like smaller bits, like I'd like about this much cake, and then for it to be done. I want a rich chocolate, Black Forest Gâteau is what I'm thinking right now. And then if I'm allowed a multi-layered cake, I'd want that. as one section, and then down there maybe white chocolate with almonds and macadamia nuts and pecans and lots of nuts. What's other nuts? Brazil nuts, just like kind of flaked, all the nuts. And the bottom layer would be like a rum truffle cake. Yeah. And then you'd cut through it and then you eat the layers one at a time. So I'm basically getting free cakes. Yes. What's my favorite thing about water? The sound it makes, the fluid motions. You know what? Drinking it, the fact that it gives me sustenance. That's my favorite thing about water, the consumption. So thank you to all these people. I think it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people. And I've gone to random.org/integers, where I am going to generate one random integer between 1 and 8. So I am going to click, and you can all see this. So let's see who is the winner. It is... I didn't click properly. Number 7. So 7. So second from the bottom. So it's Cheap Sheep Games. Congratulations, Cheap Sheep Games in New Zealand. So I guess I'm sending something all the way to New Zealand. So get in touch and send me your address. I will DM you afterwards. But congratulations, and I hope you have a wonderful day. So to all the people who've been watching, thank you very much. As always, honestly, you can ask me stuff anytime, and I will typically either answer it straight away if I can, or if it's a difficult thing, I will make it into a whole stream. But lots of love, and let's go to a question of the day. Question of the day. Here's a little question before we go on our way. My question of the day is, what makes a good Ask Me Anything? Yeah, because I try to solicit questions, but what makes a good solicitation of a question? Is it to give you a bit of direction? Is it to have a bit more of a theme? Because I noticed Mark Rosewater once asked, like, okay, I want questions that have the word what as the first word. Then there was a who and so forth. Is a good solicitation of a question something to do with the way that you respond to the questions? Let me know what makes a good Ask Me Anything. I mean, personally, I think that for a good Ask Me Anything, it's the opportunity to ask something that you wouldn't normally, and knowing that the person will definitely answer. I mean, Ross said I'm willing to answer any questions, and yeah, didn't reply to my questions. I mean, there was a wee bit of an implication that it was to do with the games, but it wasn't specifically stated, so I felt a bit sad about that. But yeah, for me, it's knowing that the questions will definitely get answered and that there will be some thought put into them. So over to you. What are you up to? You can share button if you want to. I am going to get a train to Glasgow. I'm going to get some pills. I'm going to, yeah, not a train to Glasgow, a train to London. I'm going back to London. That's what I'm doing today. And is there anything you want to share? Please do. I promise I care. During which, recap and wrap up before we finish up. So to recap and wrap up very quickly, yes, I'm going to the May event in Hereford. I'm looking forward to it. I love asking me any questions that are about me and make me think. I would like to meet my little crying wistful monster. I love Skull, Hugh, Resistance, and One Night Ultimate Werewolf. Of my own stuff, I also love Kitty Cataclysm, Questable, and a game about setting scenarios that people would do for different lengths of time. I do have the draw to make bigger games. I have already made bigger games, and I do that because I love games of all sorts, and I'm in love with the idea of what games can be, and small games are only a small part of that. In the L deck, I might tweak the letter distribution very slightly, and I keep an eye on that, but I'm still not convinced. One day I probably will change it around. None of my creatures look identical, but some look similar. I would wear hot pink. I really would like a, you know what? If I could only have one thing mixed, it would be kind of like Black Forest Gateau, but with darker chocolate, more nuts, and more alcohol in it. And my favorite thing about water is consuming it. So to all you, and congratulations to Cheap Sheep Games for winning the contest. Um, so I am stuffed by beds in all of the places. Tomorrow I will be chatting to um, Alan Paul. And thank you very much, everyone, for watching this. Share, spread the word. Thank you very much, everyone, for asking these questions. And the only thing left for me to say right now is bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Blue, blue, bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. Now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, bye, everyone. Bye, 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 bye.